Hey everyone, we're now live on another PM mock interview. I am, as you know, these are Exponent PM mock interviews where we interview awesome product managers to do mock interviews so that we can get a sense of how other PMs might answer some common interview questions and just to get to know a lot of other product managers. I'm super excited to be here with Sarah today. Sarah is one of our PM coaches with Exponent. Sarah, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background?
Thanks, Stephen. Super nice to meet everyone. My name is Sarah. Really excited to be here. I am currently a vice president of product actually at an early stage startup company based in New York called The Batch. We are aiming to solve kind of the headache around planning your or your friend's bachelor and bachelorette parties through making a group planning app that just makes everything a little bit easier. Before that, I've actually been a product manager kind of at the big enterprise companies like GE or PBS around video streaming apps, all the way down to fourth employee first product hire. So really just love product, all stages of it, working with engineers, designers, solving problems for people.
Awesome. Cool. And for those of you watching, again, if you want to learn more about Exponent or what we do at Exponent, you can always check out tryexponent.com. And there's also a subscribe, like, all those kinds of buttons. Those help us a lot. So if you're watching, please share and do all those kinds of things so that it helps us make sure that we keep this going. Cool. So today we're going to do a product design question. And so the question in particular that I'm going to ask will involve the city park experience. So Sarah, are you ready to kind of jump into the question?
Yeah, let's do
Cool.
it.
So the question is, how would you design a high-tech city park experience?
Okay. So just a couple questions to clarify and make sure I understand before we get started. First question, or I guess more of an assumption, is I'd love to focus city park experience, we'll say like US cities, just so I can make some assumptions around culture, people, things like that. And probably also maybe like top 20, top 10 cities or something, just to narrow in. Is that okay?
Sounds great.
Okay, cool. And then, okay, so a high-tech park. In terms of goals, is there any kind of like the drivers behind this design question? Should I focus solely on just making sure it feels high-tech? Do we want to incorporate potential revenue opportunities in any way, like trying to get more people to the park or to spend longer, like any driving goals that I should keep in mind?
Yeah, I think the utmost importance is like a awesome user experience. So like, can we design an incredible user experience? I think we'd love to hear your thoughts on on the other aspects of it, like revenue generation, attraction, all those kinds of things. But we predict that an awesome user experience will drive a lot of those for us too.
Okay.
So it's worth mentioning. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then I guess last question before I get started is just around any potential constraints. So I think it'd be good to think about, I guess, software, but also maybe hardware. Should I not go there? Any other kind of borders or boundaries on what I should consider?
No boundaries. This is an open-ended kind of creative area for you to think about. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just to give you an idea of how I'll work through it, I want to think a little bit about the users, like people who actually go to parks, why they go to parks, what the current experience is like, do a little brainstorming then around the potential design, and then talk about potential priorities and which ones I might actually go with. So just to first talk about who goes to parks, I'll probably just talk it out. So if I think about the park experience in top cities across the US, there's probably a few different like main user groups. First, I'll say like families. So people who kind of have young children, they probably especially go to parks like on the weekend to get their kids outside. They probably feel guilty that like their kids are in a city all during the week and they're running around trying to get all these things done. And so they want their kids to get exercise, be outdoors, spend time with the family. It's kind of more of like a bonding and like good parent experience to get them outside. And it's part of like family time. That's probably why they're going to parks. After that, probably like just groups of friends. So going to a park because they want to spend time with their friends. Maybe they want to play a sport. There's no like open space in cities to be able to do that. They want to play volleyball. They want to do spike ball, like things like that. Or they kind of just want to like hang out and have an afternoon of a few drinks and in a free open space and not have to overpay at a bar. So like quality time with friends that's not super expensive. I'm just taking a few notes as I talk this out.
Cool.
Cheap. Okay. And then maybe the last group of people is just individuals who just want some alone time, go to read a book, people watch, do their own kind of like workout in the gym. Once again, cheap. I feel like maybe that's a theme that's coming up, is just like not having to pay to go to a gym, not having to pay at a coffee shop to read a book, things like that. Individuals on their own. And I think, honestly, what I talk about might solve all these problems, but as I wrote those things down, I think I want to focus on families and groups of friends just because it kind of has like the group dynamic. And if we solve something for a larger group of people, then it's going to solve like a larger percent of our user base of parks. So I'm going to focus on kind of the pain points and the goals of the families and the group of friends. I might narrow in on one as I talk about solutions if I need to get more specific, but going to focus on that. And maybe that will also help individuals, but I think that will help us have a bigger impact with our potential solution. So if you don't mind me to take like 30 seconds or a minute, I want to write out some just like specific pain points and stuff around families and friends.
Totally. And for those of you watching, coming in a little bit late, this is a tryexponent.com Exponent PM mock interview. We are interviewing Sarah as a mock interview. Sarah is a VP of product at a startup called The Batch. And the question is a product design question involving designing a high-tech park experience. We love comments, likes, all those kinds of things. So please do give us some, especially if you have any questions for Sarah or for me, either pertaining to this interview or pertaining to product management in general. We love to get questions. So please do chime in or comment below, even if it's just saying hi.
Okay, cool. So I am, just to clarify who I'm really honing in on. So I'm thinking about families, groups of friends, their real goal, like the reason you go to a park in the first place, is to spend quality time with each other, be outdoors, and just like really feel like you're living in the moment, get out of the fast-paced city life, like quality, chill time. And thinking about some potential challenges there. So first of all is like getting prepared to go to the park. So I might just be me, but I think multiple people have that moment when like you pack up, you get to the park and you realize like, oh crap, I forgot the blanket, the most important thing, and now I need to sit on the grass, and like that's kind of annoying. Or you're there for an hour and then you realize you have no water and the park is massive and you don't know where a vending machine is and you really are thirsty and you're like, do I leave? Do I stay? What do I do? So it's kind of just like getting all the things. Also, especially if we're thinking about families, like that, I can only imagine having children and how many more things you need to pack. So I think packing all the things is like a experience in and of itself to try to get to the park. And if you don't have the right things, it could shorten the time you spend there, which as the park itself, they want you to be there as long as possible. So that's a potential pain point to focus on. Also just the weather, parks are outside. And so on a rainy weekend in New York City or San Francisco or something like that, you're not gonna have as many people going to the park. That seems like a harder problem to solve, but maybe we could do something with that.
You can change the weather.
Yeah, exactly. We'll work on that. That'll be V2.
Yeah.
And then maybe like the last group of pain points is more just on the experience once you're there. So sometimes it can be hard to like find space once you're actually at the park. So many people there. Can I get a spot for my blanket in the shade? Where should I go? Maybe even finding your friends. Like some people are there and you can't figure out exactly what corner of the park you're at. So just finding where to set up. And then also there's kind of like the whole dog and pet experience. I don't know if I'm going to play. I don't know if that'll work into it, but like having to like pick up after your dog if they've gone to the bathroom, like all those little things once you like get into the park. I think probably the first three that I talked about are more valuable pain points. So I'm going to focus on those and take another like minute to brainstorm actual solutions now, the fun part.
Awesome. And can you enumerate the pain points that you're going to go through right now?
Yeah, no problem. So I'm thinking about one, just the getting prepared for the park experience. So making sure you have all the right things. And then second, we'll see if I can do anything about the weather. I won't change the weather, but maybe some potential solutions to make sure the park can be used all year round or even on bad days in the weekend. And then the experience once you're actually at the park, how it can be a pain to figure out where to set up, find your friends, kind of like get settled for the day.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. And again, for those watching, I know there are a bunch of viewers coming in a little late. This is a Exponent PM mock interview. We love comments, questions, likes, all that kind of stuff. So please do, comment below with any thoughts or questions you have for us. And you can always check out more at tryexponent.com to see our course for product management, interview prep, and more. And today we're here with Sarah, who's a VP of product at a startup called The Batch.
Okay. I probably could come up with lots more, but we'll start with this. Have a mix of some good and probably really bad ideas. So, and also I actually thought of one other user group and pain point that while I was brainstorming that I hadn't thought of, which is actually on the other side. So like people maintaining the park or people who work for the city, who actually, so they're not users of the park, but it's something that the city itself is probably thinking a lot about when they have to maintain the park, and just how much work it is to keep parks clean, take care of it, make sure they're safe, things like that. So I'm not thinking of them as a primary user group, but that did kind of like pop in that as we're thinking about solutions, that could be something interesting to think about too, because the easier it is to maintain is probably like the better park experience. And actually that could have been a pain point that I totally missed, which is just like, first and foremost, the park needs to be a good experience once you get there. It needs to be clean. It needs to be safe for your kids. And if it's not that, then you're not even worrying about if you're forgetting a blanket. So that's kind of like a root goal overall. All right. So the three main kind of like general feature sets or potential directions that I brainstormed is one, more around like the people, finding people and connecting once you go to a park. So highlighting really the main goal is like connecting with people, spending quality time, finding your friends, spending time with your family, finding a good place at the park to hang out. So I'm kind of envisioning more of like an app software solution. So when you get to a park, maybe you can open up like the park map, and it not only shows just like the layout of the map, but maybe it shows like the high density areas of the park where there's a lot of people hanging out already, where there's an open space, where there's shade, where there's sun, depending on how pale you are or not. Like me, always looking for the shade. And maybe there's also a way to like have friends on it, so you can see when your friends are at the park. Actually, this could turn into more of even like a marketplace type app. So like maybe there's a volleyball court at the park and people can say, hey, a game's starting in 5 minutes. We're looking for a new person. So it kind of turns into a park community experience, but it's activated by like your physical presence. You have to be at the park. And it's not about connecting with people. Like I wouldn't want to go full social network, Facebook. Like we don't necessarily need more of those, but it's like when you're at the park, how can we make it easy to find people to play games with, find the right spot for you, and be even more social while you're at the park, because that could be one of the goals. So yeah, that's a potential direction. Another one, which is kind of more on the physical side, is like a self-maintaining park. So I was thinking kind of about the weather and just the quality of the park itself. So what if instead of like, what if like the grass, this is one of those, it could be a bad idea, but like the grass is heated. So if it's a little cold and raining, it heats up and it's self-drying. So like sometimes somehow it dries itself and you can still hang out when it's raining. Maybe like the trees aren't actually real and the leaves turn into like a roof when it's raining and they help you hang out. So this one's a little more out there. I am not a hardware guru, so I don't know how much of this is actually possible, but it's kind of going even wider. Maybe we're thinking about the app, how it helps you find an open space in the park. Maybe like with this physical idea, the grass is a different color if it's available to be sat on. And so like you can quickly see from above what's free. I don't know, going a little crazy there, but we'll say that's the more like physical, super, super high tech, more of like a self-maintaining park. You don't need people to take care of it anymore. It's just like it cleans itself. Dog poop disappears on the sidewalk once it's laid, things like that. And then a last potential idea is maybe taking that, but going a little smaller. So I'm thinking about the problem around bringing all your stuff to the park. So maybe there's like just high-tech vending machines or something physical at the park when you get there. So you don't have to bring anything. So you can like quickly rent a blanket just from a machine. You can get a little picnic basket from a machine. You can like put in a $20 deposit, get out your beach volleyball or like all the things to play bocce ball. And when you return the set, it gives you your money back. So maybe it's something maybe the product we're building is actually just something to give you the goods, or maybe even store your goods if you go to the park a lot, or maybe like maybe some kind of like regular park membership where you show up, swipe my card, I'm Sarah Sprague, give me my things for the park for the month. And that way it's like personal, you know what I like for the park. I can get it X amount of times. I don't have to bring it. Okay, now that I've talked about all those, I kind of just want to pick one. I guess I'm going to pause. Any major like parts of the question where I'm veering off?
Thanks for checking in. Yeah, thanks for checking in. No, these are super creative, interesting ideas. And I think, would love to see which one you want to move forward with, like, and how you justify picking the one that you pick out of the set of options that you've enumerated. But yeah, super interesting, creative ideas, like a dog poop auto scooper would be like, man, good for everyone in the world, right?
Everywhere, yeah, not just parks.
Just in people's driveways and.
Okay, so I'm looking back at the pain points that I had wrote down and the overall goal, because the biggest goal we have right now is just we want it to feel high tech and we want it to really just have an awesome user experience, which to me, based on what I was saying at the beginning, is really all about once you're there, you're feeling like you're getting that real quality time, why you went to a park in the first place. If someone feels like that, it's going to be a great user experience. They're going to want to go back to that park. And then, so combining that with the potential options I was talking about, and the biggest pain points that I wrote about, I didn't think I was going to go with this because I kind of feel like it's more the obvious solution, which is like, oh, let's just do an app that connects people. So I was like not going to go that direction. But given what we're really trying to do, which is help people be more social and like love that time at the park, I think I'm going to go there and say, I think that will help people having a really good app to especially find other things that they could do at the park will help groups of friends and also families get the most out of their time. Because what if it even becomes what if you could even offer like, there's 5 kids playing over here with like a paid nanny for an hour, and like the parents can now hang out on their blanket and get some alone time while their kid goes and plays with the kids. As much as I would like to figure out how to build some high-tech smart grass for the park, I think based on the potential for that to really achieve the goals, I'm going to go with the first idea and just flesh that out a little bit more. So the vision, I do like the vending machine idea too, because that actually solves a tangible problem, which is not forgetting all your things. Classic product decision. Which one
And for the purpose of,
to go with?
for the purpose of this question, you can go with either. I think both
Yeah, I
have good
know.
paths.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Sean, who just commented, we will get to your question in a little bit of time when there's a pause in the interview. But thanks for commenting, and keep it up. Feel free, others on the show, to ask more questions while we're doing the interview.
Yeah, happy to answer any and all questions at the end. Okay, so I'm going to change it up and actually go with the vending machines, because even though the app sounds like it could achieve our goals more, really thinking about user pain points, it's not as clear which intense, like immediate pain it's solving for someone. Whereas I think for getting things at the park and not having what you need to stay is like an actual tangible pain point, rather than a nice to have, like finding people easier to hang out at the park. So the vision then that I'm going to go with, and just from there maybe highlight a few features and a potential sequencing, and then we'll wrap up, is the future high-tech park experience is one where you can actually go to the park. You don't need to spend any time prepping anything. Once you get there, the park knows what things are perfect for your park experience. It knows you need a blanket. It knows you need food. It has water, soda, whatever you need. And it gives it to you when you get to the park experience. You get your little basket, and then you can go hang out at the park. And potentially in future versions, we could like pair an app with that as well, where instead of like you have to go to a vending machine to get your water or your food 2 hours later, you could like just pull it up and see where there's vendors selling those things for you. There could be a software component to this too, but I think the first future high-tech park experience is just a better way to get things like blanket, sunscreen, bug spray, hats that you might forget at the park.
Awesome. I do have some questions, but if you want to keep going and elaborate, I don't want to cut you off. I have a couple questions. So this sounds really awesome, interesting. I'm curious, what do you think would be a success metric for this product? Like, let's say we're launching these things, and we want to. Presumably, people are forgetting stuff. They're going to want stuff at the park. Maybe they could go to nearby liquor stores, or I don't know, whatever is like around the corner. Like, how do we know that this is going to be a successful product?
Yeah. So, okay, a potential success metric, I think, is so. We probably have an idea heading into it how many people are at a park on a given weekend in that specific city. So let's just think about one park. We know, to make it easy, 100 people go to that park on a Saturday. So in the beginning, it's just like, what % of those people are even using this vending machine in the first place? How many people like decide to take something from it? And I think probably this isn't a perfect idea yet, but if there is some way to have them become like repeat, this is becoming strange, a repeat blanket vending machine user. So it's like you get your blanket and your umbrella for the sun and your kind of like drink, and you say, I come to the park every weekend this month. This is like a package that I want to use. So it's not just a vending machine. It's like you have an account somehow and it connects to your app. And then, so like what % of people actually say, I want to use this again when they're like leaving, returning their blanket and their things. So maybe it's really less of maybe a vending machine and more of like a automated high tech, like country club, your cabana person who takes care of you. Now it's all automated. You get your things when you show up, when you leave. So the success metrics is how many people actually use it, then how many people after the first time say, I want to use this again. Remember my order so I can just pick it up and go the next time I'm at the park. So return users.
Got it. And can you talk just really briefly about why you picked that metric as opposed to like sales or like usage of the vending machine?
Yeah. I think, well, based on what you just said at the beginning, which is around, yes, revenue opportunities are important, but the first most important thing is an awesome user experience. I think anyone can use something once, but if you actually want to use it again, it tells me that you really got value out of it. And if we have like a foundational base of repeat users, then there's probably a lot more ways we can start to make money from them. So thinking about, yeah, especially kind of repeat users and who wants to use it again, to me, that's one of the best signs of, was this actually something that improved your experience or something that you could go without next time?
Awesome. Cool. Okay. And then I want to be cognizant of time, and I know folks have questions. So if you are watching this, like, this is the perfect time to chime in with questions or comments or thoughts, anything like that. Even a like or a heart, that's also really supportive and awesome and nice, and we like that too. I want to ask just one last question, and maybe if this is an interview, we would kind of tease out more or do more. But the last question: what could go wrong? Like, what are you concerned about with this product? Like,
Yes.
what are some of the trade-offs you're considering?
Okay, so I mean, first and foremost, I feel like the biggest thing that could go wrong is like no one actually wants this in the first place. So that's just like general product validation. So probably thinking about how we could start small, try it in one park first. Is there a way to maybe even do this like as a manual test before creating some really advanced physical technology of, having even a human handing out these packages like for one weekend before we go and design the smartest vending machine you've ever seen. So just like general validation. Second thing that could go wrong is just, people don't return the thing. So I guess the biggest decision is, are we selling consumable products or like that are yours once you buy it? Or are we expecting people to return things? And if so, how do we actually get them to return it rather than just like take the towel and run and then we are never making money? So that is something to consider, human behavior and how we can incentivize the right thing. And even if we incentivize it, maybe people will never do what we want. And so maybe this isn't even a viable idea at all. And I think what other potential problems is, I guess, just figuring out what the right things people want in a park experience are. Like I talked about a blanket, sunscreen, things like that. But if we are going to try to go the food and drink route, that's probably a whole nother issue because, food can only last so long. There's so many different varieties of things you could actually stock. So it's kind of honing in on what are the key amenities we would want this to focus on to have like kind of the biggest impact, and thinking if it has to be perishable things, like there might be some challenges there.
Got it. Cool. Awesome. I'll let you take a breath and pause there. Like we can kind of wrap the interview. I got a good sense, obviously you did a great job, and we can kind of talk through some of the feedback and some of the notes that I wrote about what you did well and what you didn't do well, or mostly it's all just like amazing. I thought this was a really fun interview and we came to a really fun solution at the end.
It's not where I thought it would end. So.
That's good. I mean, it's authentic and live, and that's why we do these interviews. So before I get to some of the comments that I had, I do want to get to Sean. Sean, your question. And Sarah, if you have a thought, you can answer it. We can kind of tag team it too. But Sean's question is, how would you differentiate this type of question from something like, quote, how would you decide whether to launch and create a high-tech city park? Are they the same question? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think that's, first of all, a really awesome question. It even highlights a follow-up question that I could have asked at the beginning, which is kind of like, so I'm making an assumption that you've already decided that making a high-tech park is worth it. Is that an okay assumption to make? Because I think that's a really good follow-up question to tease out. Do they want you to even question the underlying goal here, or do they want you to just run with it and see your creative brainstorming? So to me, the goal of this question is on the more creative side. And Stephen, you even kind of said that at the beginning, which is I really want to see where you go with it. So if you ask this follow-up question, they say that, then to me, it's more about those things. And if instead they say they're really trying to see kind of in your analytical, they're testing your analytical side of things and want to know how would you make this validation decision? Like what are the pros and cons, those things, then the follow-up question asking for clarification would tease that out. So to me, it's a really good point and potentially one worth clarifying with a follow-up question if the interviewer doesn't make it clear what they're looking for when they ask it.
Cool. Yeah, I totally agree with what you said, Sarah. And Yeah, I think just always asking clarifying questions is always a really helpful part of the interview. So just make sure you do that up front to kind of get a sense of like what they're looking for. Um, I'll go to, so folks watching, please do comment. Last chance for questions and thoughts and all that kind of stuff. Um, in the meantime, I will kind of go through some of the thoughts that I had on the interview, Sarah. So overall, like, great job. What I loved about your interview was you broke it down into user segments that were really clear. I felt like you actually came up with like super creative, like really interesting solutions, and you weren't afraid to mention them. A lot of people are like, "Oh, like, can I mention this? Is this going to be okay?" And they kind of bottle themselves into these very boring, honestly, answers that are not unique or exciting to talk about even from an interviewer's perspective. Um, One note, I asked you to do this, but like enumerating the pain points, like enumeration throughout would be helpful. But overall, I thought you had a really great structure. I liked your humorous, like conversational tone. I actually thought it was like really helpful because, well, one, it was funny and it's fun to talk about. But I thought you did a good job of kind of showing your thought process throughout the interview as you were thinking of it. Like even there are points where you're like, oh, should I go here? Should I not go here? And the fact that as an interviewer, were able to hear your thought process and hear you make that decision was actually really, really helpful for me as an interviewer to like get a sense of your candidacy and like how you think about problems. So folks watching, maybe like, don't be afraid to kind of like go in and make a mistake and go back out, or to say something and change it up. I think it's like a really strong point of your interview style, actually. Um, I also wrote down that, the last piece that I really liked was that you related it back to the overall goal. So like at some point in the interview, you were like, okay, like, wait, what's my vision? What's my pain points? What are like the user segment? And so, instead of just like, sometimes in interviews, you like go through the interview and you like totally forget about what you just talked about. You like related it way back to the beginning and kind of came back. And that was like really, really awesome. And like, I was like, wow, awesome. Like, this is exactly what you should do in an interview. So I thought that was like super awesome. Yeah, otherwise, overall, I think checking in with the interviewer a little bit more too. I know you did that once, but just like checking in with me, just saying like, hey, does this sound okay? Like, is there any other direction that I should go in? And then, yeah, if we had more time, I think we could talk more about the metrics and like some of the specifics of the product. I know we're trying to do this as a short interview so people can watch it casually, but I think this is a really good sampler and a really good taste. So I'll pause there. Any reactions, comments, thoughts on what I just said, Sarah?
No, I think I totally agree. I felt like I could have checked in one or two more times, like a little earlier than when I did. And I think even connecting it even more towards the end of just like reiterating the pain points and making sure once you've gone through the whole process of brainstorming, because it can be hard when you're trying to like in person brainstorm, get creative, and then make sure where you went and got creative actually still solves the problem. So I think I'm glad you called out that I did that. Thank you. But I would have done that maybe even like one more time just to make sure that it's like, okay, gut check at the end. Is this solution doing what we wanted to in the first place? And yeah, making sure I didn't veer too far.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Overall, great job. We do have one more question that I want to get to, and then I do want to just ask you a question that I think is a question that people might have for you, since you're a VP product at a startup, and that's kind of a unique experience. So first, I want to get to Karan has a question. Karan's question is, what metrics should we not focus on? And I'm not totally sure if Karan is asking that in like interviewer mode or not, but I don't know if you have some immediate thoughts, Sarah. Otherwise, I can chime in too.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's specific to the vending machine
not totally
of
sure.
the park
Yeah.
feature or not.
It doesn't look like we have more context, but maybe we can just get our best guess. Like, at least in terms of this case, I think we had a somewhat like brief discussion though about like why we didn't want to pick that one metric. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about when we think about products, why we don't think about acquisition as opposed to retention.
Right. Yeah. So I think it's like there are so many metrics in this example that we could have looked at. So like you were saying, I went more the retention side. You could have gone more just like how much money are people spending per purchase? How many items are people buying? Things like that. And I think it just goes back to what is the goal in the first place. Any of those metrics actually could have been the right metrics for this product, But at the beginning, Stephen mentioned that the biggest goal here is to improve the user experience, and also thinking about the stage of the product, which at the end I was mentioning, like the biggest goal right now is to validate that this is even something that we should invest a lot of money in before rolling out to all of the parks. So I think thinking about the goal that the interviewer gave you and the context of the product tells me that looking at something like retention is going to give me a better indicator of, is this product even working and is it improving the experience? Which then phase 2 is maybe we're thinking more about scaling. How many people are using it? How do we roll out? How many people tell other people that they should use it? And more like acquisition, things like that. So to me, that's what you want to think about when you're picking the right metric. There's a lot of potential metrics, but it's more about the context and what's important right now.